Good afternoon. Thank you, Lakshmi Madam. It was a very enlightening session, and I would love to have some more from you. My contention, observation, as well as question is that it was really nice to know that you have been talking between the haves and have-nots, so-called, as you stated in the earlier of your speech presentation, that you tried to initiate a dialogue between the workers and factory owners. It's something quite different because we always witness that there is a certain kind of tussle between these two groups. And as far as the practical kind of examples and practices from mysticism that you shared, they were certainly very enlightening. And I come from Kashmir. I am an independent researcher and a teacher. And here, even Sufism developed its own indigenous brand called the Rishiism, that was influenced by Buddhism and Hinduism. So my question is that, like you have stated, that we need different kinds of exercises, because we witness that in our case, in this group, we are a privileged kind of lot. So we have that kind of privilege and time to meditate, to do other things. But what for the common people whose emotions are manipulated by politicians, even by religious leaders, and who indulge in violence and who don't have this privilege of time, money, and material resources that can be invested in meditation and other mystical practices? So how can they basically become peaceful? Because again, peace is a process, needs a training. The violence needs training. So that my question is, how reach out to them?
That your voice not there.
I missed. I think I got most of it. So what I think you're asking is that how do we ask the regular people who are in the midst of conflict, how do we ask them, you know, and don't have the material, whatever benefits to meditate or do any of this? That was one part.
That's my question. Yes.
Oh, okay. And the second part, which I would like to address with you, is what can you do in such a space? So there was again another very famous quote. I think this is from again Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese monk, who said that if you have time, meditate for 30 minutes. And if you have no time, then meditate for 1 hour. Okay. And this is it's an interesting quote, but basically what it says is, you know, meditation, I'm not talking about, you know, the kind of meditation fad that people sign up for long courses. And no, I'm talking about every human being has a birthright to connect with the source that is within. Every human being. And especially the ones who are in areas where there is conflict. So you're talking about a geographical area, but I'll tell you as a counselor, if you come into some of the most privileged homes in the big cities, there is so much of conflict. Maybe the nature of conflict is different, but there is so much of stress. There is so much of conflict happening within the homes of people nowadays. So this is a manifestation which is there everywhere, except in different ways. A very easy thing is, if you are someone who has access to people and they listen to you, it is this very simple technique of getting people when they feel really, really helpless, hopeless, stressed, anxious, is to get them to close their eyes and just bring their attention to their breath. This is a proven, in fact, Harvard had done a lot of tests on this to see how when we bring our attention to our breathing, our body parameters begin to settle, our blood pressure settles. Slowly anxiety will reduce. Why I'm saying this is people in conflict need this probably more than anybody else. So how do we make it so simple that everyone breathes, right? Every human who's alive breathes, and breath has no religion. Breath has no other definition. So get them to connect with their breath. That is a very simple way. If you work with children, because they're so much more open and you know, they're able to get this stuff faster. Get them into 5-minute modules of just sitting with themselves, feeling their emotions, because the other, unfortunately, byproduct of constantly being in a space of anxiety is that you lose touch with your your deeper, finer emotions, because there's so much of negativity you have grown up with. And we see this with children from war zones and so on and so forth. So just get them to sit down and relax and, use music. There's so much of stuff on YouTube, gentle music, whatever is instrumental and goes straight to the heart. Because when we reconnect with this ability to drop into our hearts, we begin to connect with our source, which is very, very powerful. So I cannot give you a simple answer because it's a complex area where you are, but every human being, I believe, has a right to connect with his or her breath and with his or her heart. No one can take that right away from you. So start with something so simple. And if it becomes a daily practice, you will begin to see things will change. It will change internally within people. And when they change internally within, their external reality will begin to shift. The wise ones who have touched the truth tell us what we see in the world outside is nothing but a mirror. The actual image is our inner reality. So what we do is we are constantly trying to polish the mirror, and wo gandagi waise hi rehti hai, it doesn't go. But if we change the image in our hearts, then the reflection automatically outside will change. And Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, said that what we see outside is only a manifestation of our collective inner reality. So imagine the mess of our collective inner reality, that this is what we've manifested on the planet, whether it is people, whether it's politics, whether it's ecology, whether it is, financial structures. We really need to do a reboot as a human species, and which has to start with connecting with our inner reality. Another illusion, and the masters say this, is we feel we can correct or change anybody else. No. We can do that only for ourselves. So as we become more and more connected internally, you'll be amazed. You'll become a powerhouse. You'll become a beacon. You'll become a man of light. Your mere presence in places will shift things for people. And I'm not saying this lightly. This happens. The more that inner light begins to flow through you, people will be pulled towards you. Guru Nanak used to travel all across. In fact, he's probably traveled all the way up to, I think, nearly Europe, and then Sri Lanka, and then East, West, wherever he went. He just had, Mardana, who was his closest friend, who used to go with him, and one musical instrument. Wherever he went, people would just gather, whether they understood the language. He would be singing simple songs. They would come and sit around the fakir. What is this magnetic pull that these great beings have? It is that they're so anchored in their faith, in their reality, in their self. So once you just work on that, and this is not a difficult thing, it just needs a certain commitment on a daily basis, things will change for you. And because of you and through you, for others. The answers will not come from others. It will always come from you. Remember this. You are the answer you've been looking for.
Thank you.